261 and others sue Lai Mohammed NBC for imposing 9 million naira fine on channels, AIT, Arise TV, and also other platforms. The litigants are asking the court to declare as arbitrary, illegal, and unconstitutional the 3 million fine imposed on each of the channels, AIT channels and Arise TV, for their coverage of the NSAS protest. The Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project 261 concerned Nigerian civil society and media groups have filed a lawsuit against the National Broadcasting Commission and Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed. The litigants are asking the court to declare as arbitrary, illegal, and unconstitutional because of the fine. They are also asking the court to stop NBC from collecting money. Acting Director of the NBC, Armstrong Idachaba, is joined in the suit as defendant. The co-plaintiffs in the suit are 255 Concern Nigerians Premium Time Services Limited, Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development, Source Center, International Center for Investigative Reporting, African Center for Media and Information Literacy, and Media Rights Agenda. Idachaba had last week announced fines of 9 million naira on channels AIT and Arise TV for purported unprofessional coverage of the NSAS protests across the country. But in the suit number FHC ABJ 1436-2020 filed last Friday at the Federal High Court, Abuja, the plaintiffs are seeking an order setting aside arbitrary, illegal, and unconstitutional fines of 9 million naira and any other penal sanction unilaterally imposed by the NBC and Mr. Lai Mohammed on channels AIT and Arise TV and on many other radio/television stations simply for carrying out their professional and constitutional duties. They argue that Section 2N of the NBC Act and Broadcasting Code are oppressive and clearly inconsistent with the Nigerian Constitution and the country's international obligations. The suit reads, if the NBC and Lai Mohammed are allowed to continue to use these oppressive provisions against independent media in the guise of performing their statutory duties, the end result will be an authoritarianism and denial of freedom and liberty. The NBC and Mr. Lai Mohammed have consistently used broadcasting codes to suppress the watchdog roles of independent media and to violate Nigerian human rights, including the rights to freedom of expression, to disseminate and receive information, and hold their government and public officials to account. The action by the NBC and Mr. Lai Mohammed is arbitrary, illegal, and unconstitutional, as it is contrary to the Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, Article 9 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which Nigeria has ratified. Their action is apparently claimed to clamp down on media freedom and Nigerian human rights. The plaintiffs are also seeking an order for setting aside of the fine of 5 million naira and any other penal sanction unilaterally imposed by the NBC. The radio station was fined after an interview where a former deputy governor of the central bank, Badaya Mailafia, said he got information that a northern governor sponsored Boko Haram. The suit filed on behalf of the plaintiffs by their lawyers Kolawole Oluwadare, Adelake Aremo, and Okoyemi Owolabi reads, in part, a fine is a criminal sanction and only the court is empowered by the Constitution to impose it. Fine imposed by regulatory agencies like the NBC without recourse to the court is illegal, unconstitutional, offends the sacred principles of natural justice and fairness. That's a really good point, because if the court has not agreed with it, because they have the power to impose it, then NBC technically cannot impose these fines. It is the duty of the government to allow the legal and judicial powers of the state to function properly. Imposing any fine whatsoever without due process of the law is arbitrary, as it contravenes the principles of nemo judex in causa sua, which literally means one cannot be a judge in his own cause, and odi alteram partem, which literally means no one should be condemned unheard. The NBC, being a regulatory body, is not empowered by law to act as the prosecutor and the judge, and all at the same time. We humbly urge that the court to set aside the unlawful and unconstitutional fines imposed on independent media houses to uphold the sanctity of the Nigerian Constitution, Nigerian human rights, media freedom, and the rule of law. I mean, to be honest, everything that was heard here was spot on. And again, it's arbitrary for them to impose and then basically do it without due process by backyard work, if you would call it. If the court has not imposed it, then the fine does not actually, apply. And I personally feel like this is good. It's a direction, and this is what we're supposed to be asking for. And again, as much as we're doing this, we also need to be planning on how we're gonna, plan for 2023 in terms of getting our PVCs, the education of people on the streets, not the ones necessarily that the ones that are not necessarily online. And the question that we also should be asking is who ordered the killings at the Lekki toll gate. But again, this is actually good. It's a good step as it is logical. You don't have to be, in government or a lawyer to actually understand. It's literally as simple as that. It is unconstitutional, point blank, period. Well, of course, there are a lot of opinions on this, and the first one says, look at his mouth that he uses to lie. That mouth must one day turn upside down. They let the senators huge and outrageous salaries, but are busy running after the broadcasting stations doing their job legitimately. Exactly. If anything, we need to give kudos to Arise TV because they were on top of everything. I mean, the other TV stations, they were practically bullied by Nigerians into actually broadcasting the news, because it was, I think, hours after it happened, people were still shocked that, okay, fine, on channels mostly, they were getting backlash on Twitter, but channels and AIT, I don't think they were on it as Arise TV was, and it was literally like, they were literally bullied by Nigerians, but Arise TV was on the case, and they were literally every single day, it was consistent, especially, in different states of the country and how protests were going on. Somebody that talks like a person eating bitter cola, how could you think something truthful can come out of that mouth? True. So again, that's basically it. It says it's a way of gagging the press. Absolutely, because you're the main body that basically controls the media, basically the NBC. You can't just, it's a constitutional, point blank, period. It's not hard for you to understand. And I feel like, yes, we are going in the right direction, and this is where we should be going. And also another question we need to keep asking is, who ordered the killings at the Lekki toll gate? Well, put what you think about this in the comment section below, and do not forget to like and subscribe.